Hi everyone, welcome back to art class. Today's lesson is going to be based on a book called The Jar of Happiness by Alyssa Burroughs and published by Child's Play International. You can watch the book. I recorded the book on tape. It's in the link above, and this is going to be our lesson for the day. And I hope you have fun with this project and keep sending your art. I love seeing what you're doing. Hi everybody, welcome back to our class. Today we're going to be doing a project based on The Jar of Happiness by Alyssa Burroughs. This is a cute little book. The story is in the link above this project, and you can watch the book or you can take it out on the library on Sora or buy it. It's a wonderful little book. My Jar of Happiness project is right here. So what we're going to be doing is creating a jar that has all the things in it that make us happy, symbols that would speak to you and would tell people this is the things that bring me joy or bring me happiness. So for mine, I added a rainbow because of my love of art and all things rainbow. And I put a little sailboat in here because last summer I learned to sail, and I'm really excited to take my next round of lessons this summer, so I'm looking forward to being back out on the water. I added a beautiful sun and some sky and some hills. Just being outside and being in nature is something that makes me really happy. So for us, we're going to create a jar today, and these are the materials that you're going to need. So you are going to need a permanent marker, like a Sharpie or some kind of permanent marker, something that's not going to run when it gets wet, a pencil, kids markers or Crayola washable markers. You can use these if you don't have watercolors, a set of pan watercolor paints. I'm going to be using the watercolor paints today, but I'll show you how to use the markers in case you don't have these. A paper towel to blot your brush so you can clean it off, some water, and a clean brush. You're going to need a piece of drawing paper or something a little bit heavier. This is a little heavier drawing paper, and this is Xerox paper. You can use one from a printer like printer paper, or you can take something out of a recycling bin, just any kind of scrap paper. So we're going to make our pot or our jar, and I want my jar to be symmetrical. So if I tried to just draw a jar, it's kind of symmetrical, but I have some of this is a little bit off. I draw these a lot, so I'm kind of used to it, but some parts, this is bigger than this side. It's not quite, the right and left aren't matching. They're not exactly the same. So I'd like to make a jar that is symmetrical on both sides, the same on both sides, symmetrical. And I'm doing a thing called line symmetry. And my second and third graders are probably familiar with line symmetry, where you have a line down the middle and whatever happens on the right matches on the left. I'm going to draw half the jar. So we're going to do this together. You're going to take your paper, you're going to line up your corner and hold it with your hand. Put this down, hold it with your hand. Make a fold, and I'm going to run my finger up the edge. This way I have a right and a left, almost like a little book. My pot's going to be tall, so I folded it the tall way. Next, I'm going to draw a straight line along the bottom. Doesn't have to be perfect because we're just going to cut this out in a minute. And then I'm going to draw up my side, and then I'm going to make a kind of I think I'm going to make a very decorative top on this one, a little bit different than what I did on the other one. So there's my top. Now this is so that we can create a tracer for our jar. So here's mine. I made this before. This was my pot tracer that I made. I folded it, traced it, and cut it out. When I open it, right and left are the same. I have a line, and there's my right and left symmetrical design. So we've started, we folded, we drew our design, and now we're going to take some scissors, and I think I had these to the side. I forgot to mention. You're going to need a set of scissors. I am going to cut the bottom of the pot. I'm going to follow my line up the side, and I'm holding it so that my thumb is facing the ceiling, and I'm taking little bites. And when I move the paper, when I want to cut around, I don't move my scissors, I move my paper side. So I'm going to hold my paper with my left hand And I'm going to move the paper with my opposite hand that I'm cutting with. And then I'm going to come around, and I'm taking very slow little teeny bites. And then I'm going to come back across. Boop. Awesome. Now, this is going to be my pot. And I have 2 pieces of paper left here. One, this is my tracer. So there's the tracer for my pot. This would be called a stencil. This is the negative space around the pot. I think I'm going to save this. I might do something with this later. I'm going to put this to the side. But for now, we want our tracer. This is the shape of the pot that we're going to use. I'm going to put my white paper down. And I'm going to lay my pot kind of in the middle. Now, it's the same color, so it's a little bit tricky to see. And I'm going to see if I can get it towards the middle. I'm going to take the hand that I don't draw with, which is my left hand. I'm going to lay it on top of my tracer to hold it down so it doesn't slide. And then I'm going to use my pencil and very lightly trace the outside of the shape. Come down and around. Uh-oh, I hit my arm. So what I'll do is I'll come around the side. I'll come over my arm. Oh, it's a little tricky. And I'm going to come back, out, and around. Whoops. Here we go. And over the top. Then I'm going to take my tracer off, and I have a very light drawing of a pot. I don't need this, but I'm going to keep it in case I decide to do another one. So now I have my pot. I need to draw the things that make me happy or something. This is going to be my jar of happiness, the things that bring me joy. So one of the things I'm going to draw, I'm going to do a little bit different than the other one. Let's take a look at that again, just so you can see. So this one I had a sailboat as a symbol, something that makes me happy. My rainbow because of my art, and I just love all these colors, the ocean and the hills going up to the mountains, or being out by Fort Sewell and looking at the ocean. So that's what I'm going to draw in my jar. So this one I think I'll do something a little different. I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to add some hills like I did with my other one. But this time, last fall I went with my daughters to the sunflower farm. And I'm going to draw some flowers on this one. And these don't exactly look like sunflowers, but I know what they symbolize to me. And I'm going to draw some sunflowers. And my petals. I think I'm going to also add the ocean. And I'm going to do another boat, because I really enjoyed that. Oops. I really enjoyed that last summer. And because this is with a pencil, and I'm going lightly, I can erase anything that I'm not sure about. So I have some triangle shapes here, some circle shapes, some oval shapes. I made some wavy lines for my ocean. The next thing I think I'm going to add is going to be a sun. I'm going to make a really big sun here. And I'm going to have some rays of sun coming off, because I'm looking forward to the summer. And I might even throw some little seagulls in there. Okay, so now I've made a pencil drawing for my jar, things that make me happy. I'm going to take a Sharpie. You can use a small Sharpie, whatever you have, but you need some kind of a permanent marker so that it doesn't run in water. And I'm going to outline my pot first. And then I'm going to turn it around, because I find it easier if I turn it, then I can keep tracing. And I'm going to turn this around. Let's see, I'm going to do it this way. Here we go. Here we go. So there's my pot. Now I'm going to also trace all of my symbols that are in my pot. I'm going to trace them. Okay, so I now outlined all my little drawings that I made in here, all my little symbols. I have a couple of spots where I didn't trace it exactly, so I'm just going to get rid of those. Those are pretty easy to just erase. Just will take me a second to kind of go around and get some of the extra pencil lines off. And I'm not pushing down too hard, just enough just to kind of loosen up. And then there we go. So I was saying, if you don't have watercolor paints, you can also paint with markers, and I've talked about this before. So say I want to do my sun here. I can outline my sun. I'll do a couple of these. And then if I take some clean water, and I don't need a lot, I give it a little tap. So I'm going to use a little bit of water and tap it. And I brush some water on here. It's going to make the marker run, so it's going to act just like watercolor. But I'm actually going to use my watercolors for this project. So I'm going to open up my watercolor and I want to wake them up. And I'm going to put one little drop of water on each pan. Oops. I've woken up, waking up my paint. I think I'm going to start with my hills. So I'm going to use a couple of different colors of green. And I'm going to put this here so you can see a little better. And here's my little paper towel. So if I need to clean my brush. And I'm going to use the tip of my brush, the tippy toe, and I'm going to swirl it. And then I'm going to paint in. And I'm using a very small stroke. And I'm using watercolor. I'm using a drawing paper. And it's heavier than regular like copy paper, so the paint sticks a little bit better. And I'm not going to add a lot of water to the brush now, because if I add too much water to the brush, it's going to run. And I'm just using the tippy toe of the brush. Oh, make sure I didn't get that spot, just the little tippy toe. And I'm going to go around my object and then fill it in a little bit. Here we go. Go around this one too. So it's starting to get a little dry because I've been careful. Here we go. And not too much water. Now, I said that if you didn't want to use watercolor, you can certainly just use a marker, and that's fine too. We go, and around the outside of my boat. Great. And a couple of spots here I'm just going to touch up. Oh, yep, that ran a little bit. So take a little paper towel, get rid of that. Put some extra water there. Okay, here we go. So there's my little jar. I'm going to show you my other one I did before. This one's already dried. Oops, sorry, Pix. Here we go. That's one, and this is one I did a little bit earlier. I painted everything in, did my rainbow, and that's going to be your jar of happiness. And don't forget to sign your art. I'll sign this one too. And I'm going to let it dry. Nice job, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this project, and we will see you at the next art class. Enjoy. Bye, everybody.